say my name. No one ever calls me man, except a few friends from a long way back. I got a place I wanna be. Well, it's more of a...
Hello, here we are again with a new episode of Pints and Pages. I'm Nick.
I'm Brett.
I'm Levi.
And today's episode, we are going to be talking about Back to the Future. More specifically, 1 and 2. We'll probably leave a lot of 3 out since it's probably the least favorite of the 3 movies. It's not terrible, but...
As backstory, Dad, as he put it, gave me homework last night to watch at least the first 2.
Yeah, so
that was the first time I
was gotta be done with you kids. Watch Back to the Future.
I've essentially entitled the next couple of episodes a saga of me watching movies that I haven't seen before.
Well, now you have seen next week's.
Yes, Clue and Rocky Horror, but...
Yeah. So next week's it won't be quite so bad, but the week after you'll have homework for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so so today's episode is going to be Back to the Future 1 and 2. Just a discussion about the movie since Levi has newly watched it. It's one of Brad's favorites.
Yes.
And it's a classic. It's an essential 80s movie. That is for sure, although it does jump around, obviously, to the 50s, and in the second one to 2015. And I did some homework just to catch myself up, make sure I knew everything about it. It is not one of my. It's not on my list of like top 5 or top 10 watches. Probably, I have a weird list, and Star Wars is most of it. So, But Back to the Future is something that everybody should have at least seen once. So,
Cable pretty much took care of that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's available on streaming services. So it's nice that you get to watch it on streaming stuff. That's how Levi got to see it. So it's definitely out there. So I guess what you guys' thoughts? I'll go. How about I'll start with this because Brad and I have seen it multiple times over multiple years, over multiple generations. But Levi got to watch it for the first time last night. And what are your thoughts on the Back to the Future?
I thoroughly enjoyed both the first 2 movies. I do think, in my opinion, the first one was better.
I would agree.
I thought they were great movies, though. Definitely, I can see why they're classics, why everyone has loved them. I think a lot of things hold up. I mean, there's obviously a couple things you can look at, like, visually, and they're not the best looking, but they've made them in the 80s, so you can't fucking complain. It'd be like looking at the original Star Wars and bitching about the way the lightsabers look or some shit.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think it holds up really well. I mean,
Except for the future episode.
Well, yeah, except for the future episode. But I mean, looking at it thinking the whole time about the fact it was made in the 80s, I still look at that as like it holds up for what their thought process was of how the future was going to go.
And it still kind of correlates with our projection of what like it's kind of like a perpetual thought of our future until all that shit actually happens. But most of it has, just not on the same schedule.
Yeah, not on the same schedule or same scale of it.
For sure.
I was going to say they have announced the first flying cars, so we're kind of getting...
Yeah.
We're about 10 years late, but...
Well, we're 10 years late, and they still got to get them to actually work.
I mean, yes, I agree, but I'm saying they have at least announced that they're making one.
I mean, because they can't even make hoverboards.
No, I mean, technically they have.
They have hoverboards, but they don't really hover.
No, they have actual hoverboards that they have made, but the issue is the only way they've been able to do it is through electromagnets. And so they would have to basically go through all of our cities and put a magnet rail underneath it so you could hoverboard, so that way it actually hover.
Nah.
So they've made it, but they can't practically use it.
Right. So, so I mean, there's just issues there. But it still holds up because you're right. I mean, in 1985, you would have thought 30 years from now, we're going to be in flying cars. Our shoes aren't going to have laces.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to as soon as our foot hits the sole of the shoe, it's just going to tie itself,
The auto giant drying jacket, and it has the sleeves that adjust and all of that.
Yeah.
That was, you know.
So,
and I mean, they have done stuff like that. Granted, I know they did the self-tying shoes in 2015 as a, hey, here's an
homage to
here's an
That
homage.
technically was real.
I mean, yeah.
And there was most definitely an issue of the Sports Almanac from 2015.
Yeah.
They should have put that cover on it.
They really should have.
I don't know if they did.
I mean, I'm going to assume probably not.
I don't know.
Cover like a comic book.
I will say I made the mention earlier when we were talking before the podcast. I did notice that the DeLorean, Doc is remote controlling it, and there's only the accelerator, the steering, and the brake. But yet when Marty jumps in it, they have a direct shot of him slapping it into second and using the clutch. So it's a manual that somehow Doc was accelerating all the way up to 88 without showing any controls of him shifting it. It was just something that I noticed because I also used to drive a manual and I love manuals. So I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah,
but it's not anything that I was like, that made the movie shitty. Granted, one little detail like that shouldn't do that, but
there was it was a strictly choice of the looks for that car because that car off the line could only go like 85 mile an hour.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't know that.
The top engine model, the full works.
I didn't know that at all.
It's like a gremlin, man. Like they couldn't even go fast enough.
I didn't know that at all.
So when they designed the car, he put all the money and engineering into the looks, the doors, the outer construction, making sure the body could withstand, the elements. And they didn't engineer enough into the motor to actually make it a good mid-engine vehicle that was worth going fast.
I need to watch the Netflix documentary on DeLoreans because I haven't watched it.
I don't know much about them.
The company for a small moment, and then it's like I don't know. His cocaine money's keeping it alive. So
I did have the glory in my freshman year to sit inside of a DeLorean because they used it for our SNL at McHale.
Oh,
at the high school.
Yeah.
So because I was into the techie stuff, they let everyone, sit in it.
Sit in it
and take pictures of it and all that fun stuff.
That's cool.
I think there's very few of them left anymore.
No, there's quite a bit, actually.
Are there?
They still have enough parts brand new from when they were in production.
Okay.
And then they continued producing them later. Like, I think they fired up some of the lines to make even more parts, where you can have one ordered brand new with either parts made from back then or made from the original dies, all that shit, all the specs. So you can go get a brand new one from the company, but it's like a list kind of.
I was going to say, I've never really looked into them, but anytime I've looked at used cars and happened to, because some of the used car things will have the category for one, I've never really seen one pop up. That's why I assumed there weren't too many of them left.
When I was in high school, you could still buy one in excellent condition for $20,000.
Damn.
I think you're 60 now for the same thing you would have bought then.
And that's just solid inflation over 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
And then everybody gets them, and what do? They degrade the value by turning them into the fucking prop movie car, because that's the first thing I fucking do.
Yeah.
Either that by two.
Add a flux capacitor. For the times, I did enjoy, the fact that he stole uranium from
stole plutonium from the lithium.
That's what it was.
I will say, because even though I've never seen it and I've never really told no one to spoil it, I've really never heard much besides it's a great movie. It threw me off when they actually showed up and gunned him down. I was like, hold the fuck up. This is how we're starting this?
Yeah. And for what it was at the time, Michael J. Fox was Family Ties, was that it? Was that all he had done at that moment?
Oh, the bowling movie. You remember the movie where he was a bowler? Not that movie, and I
Yeah.
can't think of it. Then he was also
He was
what was the money one where he was a nephew to a rich dude.
I didn't think that was pre Back to the Future.
I don't remember the whole thing, but yeah, he hadn't done a whole
He hadn't done a whole lot. I think Family Ties was his big thing
Yes,
before.
that's what he was known for, and that's what got him the job. And it almost got him taken off of the job.
Yeah, because there was a scheduling conflict.
Yeah,
And they had to like film
who was it they cast instead of him?
Eric Roberts.
Yeah, and they shot almost the whole movie, but he
Wasn't it Eric Roberts?
Yeah, he was a stiff. He couldn't play. It was another one of the big actors from then.
Or no, it wasn't Eric Roberts. It was not Eric Roberts. It was he was a redheaded guy.
I have his acting, or Michael J. Fox's acting.
So
the first thing he was in was Midnight Madness in 1980.
Is that the bowling movie?
Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz. That's it. It's not Eric Roberts.
Class in 1984 and it was made in 1982. He began playing young Republican Alex P. Keaton in Family Ties.
Right, in like what, 83 or
82 to 89.
Oh, okay. So it was 82. I didn't even think it was that soon. I remember watching Family Ties.
I love that show.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
I didn't get to see it.
It was Matthew Broderick was unavailable for Family Ties.
Oh, that's why he got the role for Family Ties.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally lucked out on everything. Somebody else was supposed to get it, whatnot. Hey, we got this Marty.
I was going to say, I don't know anything about Michael J. Fox besides the fact he was in Back to the Future, and until last night, had never even seen that, so.
Yeah, he had a great career after Back to the Future.
Yeah.
You know, Doc Hollywood, and he was in Spin City, and
I haven't seen those.
Yeah, he was in some good ones.
Is it West Wing?
He was in West Wing for a little while.
Yeah.
Towards the end.
Yeah.
Towards the end. Spin City was one of the better sitcoms that he was in.
I don't remember.
Homeward Bound, too.
He was a voice in Homeward Bound. Yeah.
I think he was
Mars Attacks.
All of them, wasn't he? Or was he just a tertiary? Was he one of the stray dogs?
I think he was one.
He played Milo in Atlantis, The Lost Empire.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Stuart Little, he was in that. Stuart Little 2. Stuart Little 3.
Yeah, because he's the mouse. He's Stuart Little.
Oh, is he?
I think he's Stuart Little.
That's his role.
Yeah, he's Stuart Little. Yeah.
I had to look at it. I have the window real small.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He was in Annie 2014.
Like, that's one of my celebrity, list of meets, but I know that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
He has some rare opportunities, too, but I'd almost feel bad taking advantage of it because, dude, shouldn't be putting himself through that kind of stress no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and the actor list for that, for Back to the Future, if we go back to the Future, Christopher Lloyd is obviously fantastic. And I knew him from Taxi. And then he was obviously in Back to the Future, and he was in Back to the Future before he was in Clue. 85 was a big year for him because he had Back to the Future and Clue, although Clue ended up bombing anyway.
No,
I still don't understand how Clue bombed. That's a side note, though.
Yeah, that's for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, and I mean, he turned Doc Brown into a career. I mean,
look at Rick and Morty. Rick is based off of Doc Brown.
I mean, if you're going to grab it, Marty McFly is iconic to a point, but out of everything, to me, out of everything in those three movies, the two most iconic characters are Doc Brown and Biff.
Yes.
It was almost like Biff was...
I've heard more about Biff than I have Marty McFly in my life. Granted, again, don't talk a lot about Back to the Future.
I think Biff... Bonus Pints is a craft beer and wine spin on the classic arcade. Located at 422 East Broadway in beautiful downtown Logansport, Bonus Pints is the anchor of the Bonus Building on the corner of Broadway and 5th Street. They have all your favorite classic arcade games and both classic and current pinball machines. Every Wednesday is trivia, and every Thursday and Friday there is live music. Come and bring your friends. The food, the music, the games, and the people. There is something for everyone at Bonus Pints. And obviously I was only 7 when Back to the Future came out, so and not that I haven't seen movies from the 60s and 70s, but I think that Biff for Back to the Future was the catalyst for how every high school bully was written in every movie following Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Like you look at
Still to this day with Disney movies.
Still to this day.
Dazed and Confused had all Biffs.
Right,
There's
right.
like 18
The
Biffs in that.
Peter Parker's nemesis. What's his name?
Osborn.
No,
No,
not
not
Osborn. Flash Thompson.
There we go.
That is Biff. It's Biff. I mean, it's like every single like high school bully was just based off of Biff to me. Like through all the movies in the late 80s and the 90s.
I could agree with that for the first movie and absolutely the second movie or the third movie, but not the second movie. There was no way Biff was a contender in that one for me, even though he was, Mad Dog Tannen.
That was the third one.
I thought, wait. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, that was the third one.
I was going to say, he was a big part in the second one.
I'm still getting my numbers confused. The fucking game we just played. Anyway, so
the second one was where old Biff went back with the almanac.
Yeah.
The first two, he was definitely.
He went back and gave it to his younger self.
Younger self, yeah.
And I definitely believe in the second one, Doc was very tertiary in background.
Yes.
The first one, not so much, but in the third one, Wild West, that was all Doc Brown. That was nothing but fucking Doc Brown.
The third one was very Doc Brown heavy. Yeah.
I feel like the first one was Marty heavy, second one's Biff heavy, third one's Doc Brown heavy.
Yeah, and that flows because those are the three main characters. Yeah. They're really the main characters. The mom and dad are side notes.
And to be honest, I think you should lump it as the Tannins, the McFlys, and Doc Brown.
Yeah.
It's a singularity with Doc Brown, but it's the Tannen bloodline.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's fucking Griff, there's Biff, there's fucking Mad Dog.
Right.
So that's 3 separate ones, plus we get 3 versions of normal Biff, because we get old man, we get middle-aged fucking car washer Biff,
right,
car salesman Biff before he gets his attitude adjusted, and then also young Biff.
Right.
So, it should be the Tannen bloodline, the McFlys, and then fucking Doc Brown.
And that's one of the things that I'm disappointed with, because I thought that they could have, and not that 3 disappointed people so much with how it was.
That's a travesty.
Yeah, like they could have done a trilogy about Doc Brown in his traveling train. You know what I mean?
Well,
like they could have done the Browns.
Yeah, because then you got.
Yeah, because we did. Yeah, we saw the McFlys. We saw the.
They could. Because they.
Quick, can you name his kids?
Jules and Vern.
I could not.
Jules and Vern.
What year was the Frisbee invented?
It was 1855? 1885. That was when they jumped back to. Was 1885.
But that's not.
That's Back to the Future.
I was gonna say this is all over my head.
Back to the Future 3.
I enjoyed those first 2 movies so much that I was planning on tonight after the podcast watching the third one.
Yeah, you should watch the third one, but
and
it's.
I know you had mentioned a TV show to me last night and said that wasn't important. I didn't know there's a short film also.
I didn't know there was a short film, but there's a Back to the Future animated series.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
That follows the Browns after Back to the Future 3.
Okay.
That's all the animated series about. I don't think Marty McFly is in.
I didn't look into it.
Animated series. I think it follows.
The short film came out in 2015. It was a straight to Blu-ray DVD release, and it's Doc Brown Saves the World.
Oh, really?
And he travels back to an hour before Marty, Doc, and Jennifer arrive in 2015. And I didn't read all of it, but essentially there's a nuclear holocaust that happens in 2045, 30 years from then, that I guess is based off of the shit that they caused during 2015 when they went to the future.
Okay. All right.
So Frisbee wasn't invented, I think, officially until 1957, but the family that invented it because of the cake pan brand Frisbee, which was spelled with a Y instead of two E's. And that company was through the 1800s. In the movie, he picks up a pie pan and says, "Hey, Frisbee," and he's like, like it's a Frisbee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And everybody just looks at him weird. So yeah, that's the origin of that, because the family was on a beach. They noticed after tossing around, they had fun tossing around the lid from a popcorn thing. And then they took a fucking cake pan to the beach, and that's what they did, tossing around on the beach for fun. And someone came up and offered them money for the cake pan so they could play. And it's like, that's after the war. That was like 1937, and the war happened.
I will say I
that's
love
cool.
during the first movie when Marty goes back and just fucks everything up. Because I'm expecting, because every time I've seen anything with time travel and someone warns them, don't do something or don't fuck shit up. They maybe fumble once or twice, but then they, catch themselves. He just fucks up after fucks up. And he repeatedly, Mom, Dad. And I'm like, how many times is he going to say this before someone fucking hears him?
Yeah.
I don't understand. My thing is how they ended up naming their kid Marty still. Like,
well,
I wouldn't name a kid after anybody I had met or known.
they did. His name was Calvin Klein.
Yeah, his name, because of his underwear.
In the first,
but
he references Marty at some
He tells them that he goes by Marty. Because she's like,
really?
I found it in his underwear. What is it, Marty or Calvin or some shit?
I found it so fucking weird when you get the basically inference that she took his pants off to look at his. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But
no, there were several points in that movie where it was weird.
But yeah, it's his band says Calvin Klein. But he's like, my name's not, because she's like, do you go by Calvin? He's like, I go by Marty. My name's Calvin. I go by Marty. Some shit like that. And I was like, Jesus fucking.
Well, they probably named their kid Marty because Marty's the one that brought them together.
Yeah, but that's even more fucking.
Well, they don't have the knowledge that he has, that we have.
And then he looks exactly like the Marty. Like, they have a kid that grows up and looks exactly like the guy that got them together in 1955.
Granted, it's 30 years. It's a 30-year jump, but still, I'm like, after 30 years and you name your kid after this, wouldn't it click finally? Like, hold on a second. What the fuck happened back then?
They kept calling me Mom, Dad. He has the same fucking haircut as this kid.
Yeah.
Looks identical to him.
Yeah, the other problem is that the...
where's Calvin Klein?
His girlfriend,
Jennifer,
in the first movie, is not the same girlfriend in the... I mean, it's the same character, but it's two different actors.
I was like, that threw me off, too. I didn't look it up because I just went one right after the other, and I was like,
I don't know who. I can't remember the actress's name from the first movie, but it was Elizabeth Shue in the second movie and the third one. In the third movie, it's Elizabeth Shue too.
George switched, but I was about ready to get to him because how does he not develop PTSD and then go to the loony bin at the first fucking commercial of a Walkman? Like when Marty tortured his ears in bed with the Walkman. As soon as that shit's invented, he should have had a fucking metal breakdown.
I feel like there's a lot of things that he either said, referenced, or did that should have at some point caused them to fucking.
Well, and then the so they give the I guess the inference that Chuck Berry stole Johnny B. Good from a little white boy
say that.
I mean,
that is what they give the.
They give that. I mean, that's what they make it sound like.
They make it seem like that for that universe, but us as a viewer knows that it was still always Chuck Berry. We it's the time paradox.
I looked at, see, I didn't even think about that. Even in the moment, I was like, okay, he gets inspired by this because Marty just disappears. So no one ever hears or sees of that ever again. So he's like, should. And also he fucks it up at the end because he goes straight rock and roll with the riffs.
He goes straight Van Halen.
Yeah. So I imagine that's, Chuck Berry's inspired by that and goes, I'm just going to cut that shit out.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Which that did make me laugh where he's like, I see you guys still aren't ready for this. And I'm like, still, that should have fucking gave his dad a fucking mental break when Marty starts riffing like that in modern day. And he's like, I've heard this before.
Yeah. It's Darth Vader.
No, Darth Vader?
Yeah, Darth Vader from the planet Spock, wasn't it?
Vulcan
from the planet Vulcan.
He should have been a mess the entire. He became a successful author without noticing that everybody else is writing shit that traumatized him.
Yeah. It was. It was so good, but it had so many holes once you become an adult. The Big Bang Theory episode where they're like discussing how he couldn't have gone back and come forward.
I'm gonna have to
there then.
Yes,
I'm gonna have to rewatch that because I forgot about that.
Pull that shit out on Alex every now and then, annoy her.
Yeah, because it's like
you would have had done this.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, is that the right verbiage? Is it he have had? And he's like, oh yeah, I guess that's right. And he's like, wait a minute, is that the right verbiage? And he's like, he should have had, then had? And he's like, I don't know, you did it to me, so I did it to you. But it's one of those things where it's like, and Doc Brown is, and how does Doc Brown look the way he does in 1955 and in 1985? Because he looks 70 years old in 50.
Okay.
I know.
And he looks 70 years old in 80.
I know in the second
Lloyd, in real life, as a real living, breathing human, ever fucking look different?
He really
I know in the second movie, when Doc first shows up, because it's a future Doc, because for Marty, been like fucking an hour or some shit.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So if Doc from 2015 comes back to 2085, how old is Doc? Because in 2015, he's got to be...
He is a builder of a time machine.
That is...
This fucker is omnipotent.
That is 60 years.
Yeah.
From 55 to 2015.
But he also makes the mention, granted, he only came up with the idea of it, but he says he discovers time travel in 55.
It doesn't build
No.
He discovers the flux capacitor.
Yes.
In 55.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
With the possibility that
but then time travel. And by 85, he builds it and it all works. At that point, time's irrelevant.
And it was
because he could have immediately from 85 jumped to 2015. Because he even says he's only going in 30-year spans because it's a nice even round number.
Okay, all right. I can get on board with that, but now
I will say he's still old as fuck by 85.
He even goes to a clinic to revitalize himself.
I was gonna say
he might not recognize me.
That was the first thing I was gonna mention is when he first shows up. He's like, I went to a clinic to get a facelift or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, de-aging.
De-aging, that's what it is.
It doesn't do anything. Because that was the answer for this. This is why it doesn't look different.
Because he's wearing a mask like, okay, I'm going to make myself look like Marty would remember me. And he looks different than when he peels his face off and looks identical to what he's always looked like.
Yeah.
Even I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It was...
that scene was executed so perfectly, though.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's in the second one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do like also how basically his girlfriend took the role of fucking everything up.
Yeah, in the second one.
And she can't handle it. the
Yeah.
time travel.
Yeah.
And Doc's just like, yeah, that breaks people sometimes. It's okay.
Yeah.
Put her on the bench.
Yeah, and then she-
disappear in time.
Yeah.
Come back as someone different.
Yeah, and then they hide her in the alley, but she gets caught by the police. Yeah. Yeah,
And
all
they're like, yeah, you just took some trank as in drugs and shove her in her fucking house.
I like how the futuristic car that the police drive in 2015, which the movie would have been made in 87, looks like a
yeah.
Prius.
Yes.
89 is when Back to the
Also-
Future 2 was.
Okay, it looks like a Prius.
That the builder of that car, Gene Winfield, that car still sits rotting in the desert. Now,
What, the police car?
I had a buddy of mine I went to trade school with, Wyotech. Later on, years after we went to that trade school, he went on to do all kinds of crazy shit with hot rods and work with, TV shows and builders and stuff like that.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, he did really well, and he's got a fucking wild attitude and approach to life. But he got to work with Gene for quite a while. And yeah, outside the shop, he sent me pictures of him just fucking
There's a picture of it.
sitting there in the desert.
Yeah, it's just sitting there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it resembles an extended Prius.
Yeah, it really does.
It-
But I mean, more rounder though, because Priuses
Yeah.
still have the sharp lines.
So yeah, but I mean that's what.
Shit, this guy posted this 2 months ago.
yeah. So there's still sitting.
I mean they're
Yeah.
still sitting out there in the desert for sure. Located at 430 East Broadway in beautiful downtown Logansport, on the bonus level, the second floor of Bonus Pints is the Lantern. The Lantern is a glowing light in a small town. They are a shop filled with art, clothing, books, and all your current Halloween needs. They are currently carrying cat skull candles, black cat drinking glasses, Halloween-themed dresses and shirts, and some 3D horror decor that will scratch your Halloween itch. Check out their Facebook page for when they are open and what new items they are stocking daily. Yeah, I love the running gag through all three movies that Biff gets covered in manure.
Oh yeah,
That's a fantastic.
manure.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I haven't seen the third one, but
it happens in the third one too.
go figure. Obviously,
Yeah, when I was watching kind of a refresher about the movies, because like I said, I've seen them all several times, so it wasn't like I needed to rewatch them. But I did watch kind of hey, here's a Back to the Future recap. I didn't realize that in the first movie, Marty. So the mall is the Two Pines Mall.
yes,
When Marty lands in 55, he knocks down one of the trees.
yeah.
And then when he goes back to 1985, it's the
Pine
the Pine Tree Mall instead of the Two Pine.
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't notice it, but they brought it up in the recap, and I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting."
Yeah.
Like since he knocked down one of the trees, they called it the Pine Tree Mall instead of the Two Pines Mall. So I thought that was cool because I would not have had that callback. And then obviously Doc Brown wore the bulletproof vest to
Yeah.
make sure that he didn't get shot because he taped the thing back together. And
And I love how
again.
which happened, yeah.
Proof vest saved
Oh
the day.
yeah, in the third one.
He saved. So that.
and I like how they
something
reference
I'll
it in the
talk about.
second one because
Yeah.
the Biff in the future where he's
He's
married to
flipping through channels.
yeah, where he's married to Marty's mom. He's flipping through channels in the hot tub. The guy gets shot, and all of a sudden, a steel plate drops from underneath him because it's
Yeah.
the Wild West. And he's like, "Oh, bulletproof vest!" Kind of like the same reaction we all had in the first movie.
Yeah.
That made me laugh.
Yeah. God, there was another one I was gonna say. I lost my train of thought.
My bad.
No, it's cool. How about the band? This is just an obscure one that has no relevance to anything we've talked about, but the band playing in the Wild West. The song, the fiddles and all that is ZZ Top.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
ZZ
so
Top.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ZZ Top's in the third one.
Playing that.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
So I always thought that was cool, and it's something you don't really fucking have much of a way to notice unless you know what they look like
Right.
which isn't hard either because of their beards. But when
Their
everybody's Wild West cowboys, you're just kind of like, oh, they're playing Wild West music
Yeah.
and playing their tunes.
I will say and I know it's on a smaller scale than what I'm going to reference to, but I like how they've in the 2 movies I watched, they explain the rules basically and how time travel works, and it always stays true, and I never have to question anything.
Yeah,
Unlike in the MCU, where half the time I'm like, hold on, if he time travels here and does this, how the fuck does it affect here and do that? Like it just stayed quite simple, clean, and easy. And they were some of the first, not I don't know if they're the first, but it was one of the first movies I know of that like ever attacked time travel, and they did it so cleanly and easily to where, and we still can't seem to get it right.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
modern day
they were
movies, they
just
fuck it up constantly.
yeah, they were just. I mean, it was simple. You do this, you do this, you don't do this, you don't do.
Like I said, it was on a smaller scale. They only traveled to certain spots, but they still made it very clean, easy, and it's not confusing.
Yeah.
Butterfly Effects time travel was all about that, and I thought they did pretty well.
I have not seen that.
Although that movie was like, it was just so awful. Like, not awful as a movie, but like the experiences the characters have are just so fucking awful that it's like, shit, I don't like this. I don't know. That was a dark fucking movie, but they nailed the time travel in that one really fucking well.
And that's rough when you're watching like just a movie where it's the characters just can't catch a break. I always have a problem with that. So
Yeah. You sit there and get frustrated with them. And God damn.
Yeah.
Granted, I did that with Marty quite a bit when he'd fuck shit up. When he'd fuck shit up, I'd be like, Marty, fucking stop, dude. Just
pull your shit together. Come on. What are you doing?
You're a slacker, Marty.
Yeah.
I did love that always with his father, with him.
You look like a slacker.
Yeah, when he, I mean, the first thing Doc tells him is don't do anything, and he saves his dad getting hit by the car, which he knew if his dad got hit by the car, that's how it was supposed to go.
Yeah. Panic response, man.
Panic response. So it was.
How did you guys meet again? And he doesn't even comment about how much he's heard the story.
Yeah.
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 Did Grandpa run you over with the car? What are you doing up there?
I do like how he fucking goes back in time and finds out, like every kid finds out about their parents. They're nothing is what they say they were.
Fucking
his mom.
Tom.
Yeah. His dad's a peeping Tom and his mom's a fucking hoe.
Yeah, his mom is just like a booze hound. That's like, yeah. Yeah, that was.
That gave me a crack. I mean, I imagine it did to everybody.
Yeah, and Biff was the same.
Yeah, Biff didn't change. Biff is just always
the same
Biff.
asshole in high school that he was as an adult. So
even when he was sniveling little Biff, he still was kind of an asshole trying to not wash his car all the way.
Yeah. Conning him. 2 coats of wax. I was the second one's drying. Don't you con me. I was about to start the second one.
Oh, because he punched him once.
Yeah.
Shit, man, you're gonna punch me a couple more times than that for me to act that way.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny for sure. And then I love how in the second one, it was almost like a big block of the second one was replaying the first one.
Yeah.
But putting them so Marty's in. There's 2 Martys now in the
and the 2 docs
in the first one,
where the one's like, hey, can you hand me the 5/8 wrench? And he's like, wait, don't you mean this one? He's like, yeah, I do. And he's just the whole time not looking at him, holding the wire for him and shit, holding his hat down.
It was and Marty kept messing that whole thing up, and it was through the school and through the talent show or the enchantment dance or whatever it was.
Enchantment Under the Sea.
Yeah. That was
Earth Angel.
It was they're good, solid movies.
Every fucking one of them had a baller ass soundtrack too.
Oh yeah, the soundtracks were great.
Yeah, love the talent show. at the beginning, Huey Lewis, and then
Yeah.
Huey Lewis gets up and tells him he's too loud. Because that's like the soundtrack to the first one was almost all Huey Lewis, I think.
Yeah.
And then I don't know about the second one though. So I think
tell you it was composed by Alan. All of them were Alan Silvestri. I don't know who that is, but who composed all of them.
I think the third soundtrack was mostly ZZ Top. I think like ZZ Top did some of the songs on the third soundtrack.
Remember all of it.
I think that's why they were in the movie.
The Power of Love was all the first one.
Yeah, I don't know what the second one was. Definitely, Power of Love was definitely the hit song from the first one.
I'm trying to get the soundtracks pulled up. For 3, it is. A lot of them say uncredited. Besides,
really?
for Double Back is written and performed by ZZ Top. Power of Love, written by Huey Lewis, Johnny Cola, and Chris Hayes. Performed by Huey Lewis and the News. I don't know who the News is.
Huey Lewis and the News was the band.
And
So-
so you go into fucking
In the
American
first
Psycho.
in the first soundtrack was there was Power of Love and then Back in Time by Huey Lewis and the News. In Time. Yeah, that was the first one. American Psycho is
Yeah.
like every time I hear
heard the new Huey Lewis and the News album?
yeah. That's
Great X murders some
I
motherfucker.
haven't seen American Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm bad. Like I said, this like saga of the podcast is gonna be me just watching movies I haven't fucking seen.
I mean, we're also at that point in time where most people you talk to have not seen a lot of 80s movies, and just because.
the soundtrack for 2 is like Beat It, I Can't Drive 55, Night Train, Earth Angel, Johnny Be Good.
For the third one?
Second one.
That's the second
Or
one.
the second one?
Yeah. I didn't realize I Can't Drive 55. Yeah. The third one is what song play? Oh,
I Can't Drive.
I think Power of Love was on all of the soundtracks. Double Back, Power of Love.
Yeah. Turkey in the Straw, the battle cry of Breakdown.
Yeah, Turkey in the Straw was probably the song they played at the thing. At the hoedown or whatever.
The Jubilee version.
Yeah.
The Jubilee version. The Howdy Doody theme.
The Howdy, yeah. Is that on there?
Yeah, because it plays during the. This is a rerun.
That's right. That's right. It does.
This is brand new.
Double Back is on there twice because one's an acoustic version.
Yeah.
That means one played during the credits and
Right.
one, yeah.
Right. So so we covered the DeLorean, the fake flux capacitor, by the way, I still use to this day. When somebody asks me, like, when I'm like, oh man, my check engine light's on, and they were like, what's wrong with your car? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the flux capacitor is going out because I don't know anything about cars. So it's like, I'm pretty sure that the Canooner valve is flooded and the flux capacitor is going out. And they're like, those aren't even things on your car. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they are.
I will say the flux capacitor is something I've heard referenced forever.
You can buy one.
I almost forgot to mention, speaking of buying things, you can buy the license plates and stuff from the movie that say out of time, and the company that makes them is here in Indiana.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
The guy that owns that company lives about 4 miles from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
I didn't know
Because
that.
he's a big car guy, and I can't remember his name, But he's been on a YouTube channel called VinWiki and a guest on a couple of the podcasts I listen to.
Huh, that's interesting.
But he said they're one of the only companies that are actually licensed to make legal license plates that are also movie props.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
you can get all of those license plate, and then he can also make like legal
Basically, make it with
replicas.
the numbers of your vehicle.
Yeah. From the way I understood him explaining it, yes. I do know they make and sell mass distribution of the movie props. Like in the new Ghostbusters movies, they've done all of those.
Right.
I'm trying to think of some of the other ones he had referenced, but yeah, they do.
There's not many good license plates you can pull out of movies besides Ecto One, Out of Time, and the futuristic gibberish you can't read.
Yeah. I was going to say those are the easy two.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I will tell you this. Just in case anybody is out there and wants to, you can go to O'ReillyAuto.com.
Oh, yeah.
And the flux capacitor is on the website. It's part number 121G for 121 gigawatts. The line it's part of is EB for Elliot Brown.
Jesus.
But you can order it. It's the product info is the gigawatts is 1.21. The material compatibility is plutonium. Working speed is 88 miles per hour. So detailed description is time travel at your own risk. Plutonium is required to properly operate the flux capacitor. Plutonium is used by the onboard nuclear reactor, which then powers the flux capacitor to provide the needed 1.1 gigawatts of electrical power. Plutonium is not available at your local O'Reilly Auto store. And then, like, the next bullet point is the flux capacitor requires the stainless steel body of the 81 to 83 DeLorean V6 2.9 liter. Once the time machine travels at 88 miles an hour, light coming from the flux capacitor pulses faster until it becomes a steady stream of light. Then time travel begins. There are upgrade kits, and that part number is 121 GMF.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, like
Brad's looking with the stare like he's about to buy them.
The upgrade part is what was it? 1.21 MF.
Yeah,
Mr. Fusion.
I was gonna say Marty
Mr.
Fly.
Fusion, it's MF. Mr. Fusion. The fucking the thing he puts on it from the future episode where he throws a banana peel. It's called Mr. Fusion reactor. So I'm pretty sure. Let's Google it real quick to make sure. I was just trying to pull that out of my head. Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Fusion, MF. There we go. That's what that part number stands for.
121 GMF.
I also
Yeah, Mr. Fusion. It actually pops up. It's on O'Reilly's website. It's the O'Reilly Auto Parts Mr. Fusion.
Yeah, there we go.
I also love the fact that they're like when they're in the first movie Back in Time, they're like, "Oh, we don't have any plutonium. We're basically fucked." And he's like, "Oh wait, lightning strikes at just the right amount." And I'm like, "Hold on. If that were the case, why aren't we harvesting lightning right now?"
Yeah, and it's funny because at the beginning of the movie they're at, and the clock tower is just iconic because at the beginning of the movie they're in the courtyard and they talk about the light tower that hasn't worked forever, and then they're like, and then it comes back, and then it comes back again in 2, and then it comes back again in 3. Because they get their they're building it, and they get their picture and take it in front of the clock.
Well,
oh, really?
Yeah.
The guy in 2 is the same guy who was asking for money in 1, but he had makeup on. He had special effects.
Really?
The same actor asking for money both times.
That's funny.
So yeah, it was. I mean, there were so many callbacks, and so I mean, it was well done as far as. I mean, yeah, sure, you got the time travel, and they messed some of it up, and there were different things that you could go into, but they tried to keep the continuity as well as they can. It was just fun.
Oh yeah, it's just a fun, great movie. I will say granted, I don't watch a shit ton of movies. It did throw me off how many times shit and I think did they say bitch or did I just mishear biff a lot?
Probably misheard Biff.
I was gonna say I think
Biff.
every time I heard the word biff, I at first thought they said bitch, which really threw me off. But yeah, it did throw me off how much they like got away with saying shit in what is considered a kids movie.
Yeah.
They did say, I know Marty says, what the hell, Doc?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I knew there was a couple other ones that I was like, oh, we actually get a semi-mature kids movie. I don't know if it's necessarily a kids movie, but I know that's when a lot of people saw it were as children.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was for me too, because it came out, I was 7. So, it was
alive, yeah.
it was right there in
Yeah,
that,
neither was I, bud.
it was right there in that wheelhouse of like 85 to 90 where movies like, Back to the Future and Clue and Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink
I
and
haven't seen Breakfast Club.
all those iconic, yeah, all those like Weird Science, all those iconic 80s
St. Elmo's Fire.
Goonies, and all those came out, and
some classics.
and they, yeah, it just hit. So it was a good era for movies. It was a good era for that movie. Obviously, it springboard the Michael J. Fox's career. I think Doc Brown was already there. Christopher Lloyd was already there.
He would have gotten great roles regardless.
Right. But it did. It's still probably the role. You see interviews with him, and it's still one of the. It's still the role everybody asks him about.
Yeah.
So.
Because he just did such a fucking great job.
Yeah. And even Elizabeth Shue, she was in it. She was in the second and the third one. She was only in the third one, I think, at the end. And she wasn't in all of the third one. I think she was only in the end when they wake her up on the front porch.
Yeah, and she gets in the truck to go basically get Marty's full circle character arc taken care of,
because
where he doesn't race Needles.
Yeah, he doesn't race Flea to take out the Rolls Royce.
Was it Flea?
Yeah.
I thought it was Needles.
Well, yeah, it was Needles, but it was played by Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Duh. It's like I'm still stuck in the fucking world of Back to the Future. You're right, it was Flea.
It was Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers playing Needles. Anthony Kiedis wasn't the other guy, was he? I think it was just Flea in the movie.
I don't remember.
I think it was just Flea.
Yeah, they don't hit the Rolls Royce, which oddly enough would definitely ruin your fucking life as a youngster.
Yes,
oh yeah, that would destroy your life.
And then the "You're Fired" from the second movie, disappears.
Yeah.
The paper disappears. So they bring 3 and 2 together with that. But yeah, she wasn't in much of the third one at all. But she went on to be in, or maybe it was before. She was in Adventures in Babysitting. That's what I remember her from.
I've never fucking heard of that.
She was fantastic in that. Where the little girl thought she was Thor. And yeah, that was a great movie. That was a great movie.
Trying to think of anything else. The Toyota was most easily like it was an iconic fucking vehicle for that. The truck he got. I wanted that truck so fucking bad in my life.
Yeah. It really was.
I was gonna say, for how much I've seen it, I don't remember it being on the screen that much. It was on the screen a good amount, but not as much as for how iconic it is, in my opinion.
It was advertised on a lot.
Oh, was it?
Point, like you could see it on a lot. I think it was in a commercial. There was a couple times where it's like oddly in the fucking background.
I was gonna say, I was trying to run through my head from watching it last night. I was like, I don't remember it being on the screen all that much for how much I've seen it in pop culture.
Well, him and what's her name were hanging out, and it drove by on a flatbed. And he was like, one day or some shit like that. He was talking about one day.
Yeah, that's when he sees it in the first one.
Yeah.
And then he gets it when he
gets it at the end at the first one.
Yeah. And then, I mean, it pops up in the second one. They're getting ready to leave, and that's when Doc shows up, and they take off back to 2015, then back to 1955, and you don't really ever see it until I think the end of that movie again.
Yeah, so basically they didn't show you the car accident, but it happens immediately after the ending of the first movie.
Yes.
Yes.
The second movie happens because of that car accident that they never show or tell you about. But
Yes.
it's the problem of the entire thing.
Yes, I remember.
And then in the third one, they fix it.
Yeah.
And then in the third one, they fix it.
Yeah, and then they fucking destroy the DeLorean on the train tracks.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
And then Doc shows up
With
the train.
In a time traveling train.
That looked fucking dope. Like it was some steampunk. I'm pretty sure that invented steampunk culture.
It very well could have.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I thoroughly
Wild
enjoyed the
West, like,
steampunk
set it in
culture.
stone. Like, yep, you all gonna be fucking nerds about steampunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. How are we at time?
55.
Oh yeah. When he rides and tails vehicles on the skateboard.
Oh, the
It's a
stitching.
red Jeep. When he does it in the future, it's a red Jeep. When he's on the hoverboard.
Yeah.
I think it's a futuristic red Jeep, but doesn't he ride on the same vehicle twice when he's skitching?
Does he?
I think so.
I was gonna say I don't remember which vehicles because he jumped on on the back of a couple different vehicles throughout the first
and
two
then
movies.
then he created, air quotes, created the skateboard in 1955.
Oh yeah,
when he broke that thing off and started trying to get away from Biff.
Stupid McFly, I'm going to work on water.
Yeah, and then they go flying after him, and he just jumps off the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that way they go through the glass. I was like, man, who could have seen that one coming?
Yeah. Right. Located at 430 East Broadway in beautiful downtown Logansport, on the bonus level, the second floor of Bonus Pints, is Savini Comics. Savini Comics has all your toys, gaming, and comic needs. We have Dungeons and Dragons. We have Magic the Gathering. We have Pokemon. We have Disney Lorcana. We have Marvel and DC comic books. We have Marvel and DC figures. We have Star Wars. We have wrestling. Come join us at Savini Comics for all your gaming, toys, and comic book needs.
I'm trying to look to see which vehicles
I'm trying to find the whole scene for the thing and write it real quick, but I don't think it's that important.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you for the life of me what vehicles he was tailing. I remember the scene, but
Here you go, little girl. Here's your hoverboard back.
Yeah.
That's okay. I got a pit bull now.
Yeah. It's when I just typed it in, it pops up. He hitched a ride. I think this is only in the first movie, on the back of a Chevy Malibu and a Hill Valley police car.
That was a blue truck. There's a blue truck. There's a blue Jeep.
I was gonna say
He hitches a ride off of like 18 fucking vehicles.
Yeah.
There's a whole damn scene of it with Biff. Twice.
Because
he's on the hoverboard with Biff when there
are 55 different automobiles in Back to the Future.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good movie for cars.
Yeah.
Undisputed, like, it is also a hot rod movie, if you ask me. Like, you can't tell me any different.
I'd at least say a car movie, like a great movie for car people to just sit there and be like, damn, that's cool.
Most people would argue it wouldn't be a hot rod movie because it's not a souped up car.
Yeah.
Speed, but technically, it is a fucking souped up car. And if you drive into the future and it only takes you 3 fucking seconds to get there, it's pretty damn fast.
You got a
Yeah.
point there. Then if you're time traveling with it, you always win the quarter mile.
Do the Kessel Run and
Yeah,
Just backtrack. What the fuck?
he invented the Kessel Run with time travel.
Going, we don't need to measure in time.
Yeah.
It's just distance now. Were there any fucking moments that you were just completely upset with in the movies? Because I can't think of any myself.
No, nothing that I was completely upset with. Like I said, the only thing that really I like ever really caught my eye was the fact that he's using a remote control and not shifting it, and then when
Yeah.
Marty jumps in, it's a manual. That's the only thing
Yeah.
that ever. I guess the other thing that catches my eye is the fact that it basically scorches everything, like its tire
Yeah.
tracks, and like it scorches the when the lightning strikes, it scorches the power line and everything. But time travel's cold, so the car shows up and it's freeze, like it's got the ice frost and all of that. And I'm like, hold on, they leave a massive fire trail, but then freeze instantly as they go through time. I feel like that fucks some shit up too. Like that would just fuck the structure and integrity of that car up.
Yeah, you would think. The only problem I had was with the third one. Because he actually, like, in 1985 or whatever, he sees Emmett Brown's, like, gravestone, which means if he died in 1885, how did he go to dock in 1980? Like, I don't know. It was weird. It was weird for me. But anyway.
Can we talk about the fact the fucking Biff's goon named 3D just wore 3D fucking glasses?
Yeah. I was gonna say when I saw him running around with the 3D glasses, I was like, man, that had to have fucked with that actor because
Yeah.
it fucks with me looking through those glasses.
Well, and then do you remember that Billy Zane was one of the fucking
No, he was
Billy
one of the
Zane.
gang. He was one
Billy
of the
Zane,
gangs.
yeah,
Who's
it's one of the
Billy
gangs.
Zane?
Titanic, the guy that the
I saw that
fans
with my aunt.
uh,
Well, let me rephrase that. Aunt Tosh was watching it, and I sat through like the last 45 minutes of it.
I could sit here and list off
He was in
characters.
Phantom,
Yeah.
right?
Tombstone.
Yeah, Tombstone.
Demon Knight,
Um,
Survival
Mummy.
Island.
He was in
his
the Mummy.
character's name, he was Match.
He was in
Chewing on the
Zoolander.
Chewing on the match.
Yeah.
Creative names.
Yeah.
3D was the guy with the 3D glasses.
Yeah.
Match was the guy with the match in his mouth.
He was in the new Avatar.
He was the other one was Skidmark. We'll just let
No,
you
it
paint
was-
that picture.
It was Skinhead. And
Oh, Skinhead.
and he, had,
Jesus.
he had a full head of hair though.
But yet he's a skinhead?
Yeah. There's 3D Match with Skinhead, which was
I feel like that's a poor name
J.J.
choice.
Cohen. J.J. Cohen's pretty famous too, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah. I thought he was. He's somebody.
I mean,
Oh, he was in The Principal with Belushi.
the parents ended up being fairly popular people. I mean, that was what was it? Jennifer Lee was the mom? No.
Yeah. Crispin Glover was
Crispin
one of
Glover was
one
the
of
dad.
Georges.
Leah
There's two
Thompson?
Georges.
Was there two Georges?
Yeah. That's how well he fucking nailed that part, but he was also a pain in the ass on set, I believe. Yeah, there's two George McFlys. The first one was in the first season, and then the second one, they gave him prosthetic makeup to make him look a little better too.
Huh. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I think there was somebody else that was two different actors.
It was
Crispin Glover and Jeffrey Wiseman.
yeah. the girlfriend was two separate. It was Jennifer Parker in the first one. It was Elizabeth Shue in the second one. And then Lorraine McFly was played by
Leah Thompson.
Yeah, Leah Thompson. That was her name, not Jennifer Lee. It was Leah Thompson. I didn't think there was anybody else that switched out.
And at just a glance, I didn't see anybody. But I'm also really bad with actors.
Yeah, it was, and then okay, on the third one, let's bring this up. On the third one, this is the other thing that bothered me about the third one. There were a lot of things wrong with the third one, but so Marty goes back to 1885, and he gets found by Seamus McFly, who looks just like Marty,
Yes.
and Seamus McFly's wife looks just like Marty's mom.
I think that was to play a joke on. Okay, I wasn't alive at the time to hear anybody's talking and backlash. The equivalent of the internet's current nature on movies.
Oh, Jesus.
It would have been made a meme about him sleeping with his mother before the second movie or the third movie ever came out. People would have commented and talked about that. Critics, anybody writing fucking articles would have made that joke, and people
Right.
made that joke to each other.
Right.
Studio fucking knew it. So I guarantee when they made that casting choice, they were doing that to play off of that weird fucking vibe. Because I think they wanted to interject everything they possibly could from the first movie into the second one.
Yeah.
And I think that led to just the fucking tropey weirdness of it. But if you remember, in the second one, he also plays all of his own kids. Because his son looks just like him.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
true.
His daughter is him with a wig and fucking dress on.
Yeah,
So I think that was also all right. He's gonna play his own family as his kids and his fucking.
But why not?
Great granddad.
But why?
Great.
But why not have Elizabeth Shue play the wife?
Because she has no blood lineage before him.
But neither does his mom.
Technically, his mom does to him. It's still his family bloodline running up. But what I'm saying is because it's there to make it awkward, and the fact
It's definitely awkward.
I think it's there just to be a joke because like he said, just because the studio knew that people already were discussing how weird it was that his mom was trying to fuck him.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first one.
They did that to just fucking acknowledge their own fucking weirdness. But I also think they did it because if you make her, she didn't have the look of someone on a fucking prairie either. Like she had a more modern look to her looks, whereas the actress that plays his mother had that classic like old timey look. Plus, she was associated with the past and not the future. So to make her be that, I think it just made more sense. Whereas, like, if you stick this chick that's not really a main character at all, and technically a really low profile actress,
Right.
we're already paying what's her name to be here. Yeah, so I think it was follow a joke to make sense both thematically and monetarily.
I mean, I thought I would find that hilarious. I haven't seen it yet.
But no, that's kind of, I thought it was to just play off of that more. But it is weird that they still went with it.
Yeah.
And then they're like talking about what's his name? Uncle Joe that kept getting arrested.
Yeah, they make jokes
overseas when he's younger and shit.
Yeah, but sees him in the crib.
Yeah, and then they go further and they got like the even older. Who was the? Oh, there was another family member because he sees the Uncle Joe in the crib when he's back in the past.
Oh yeah,
and then they've got a new baby that's his great grandpa. that's the other baby, and he gets to hold his great great grandpa. But it's always
Oh, that's it.
there's
Yeah,
always an
that's
out
the
of reach
McFly.
family member that he gets to meet
Yeah,
throughout the process.
that's when he goes
isn't it?
back and
Yeah.
meets Seamus McFly.
Yeah. Yeah, and he meets his own son, so it's like the other end of it too. Like every movie's got the same elements. It's just
Yeah.
mix them up. Yeah. Anything else?
I don't think so. I just thought they were fantastic fucking movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just Googled why was Leah Thompson Maggie McFly and the
She could do a better accent.
the answer I want to see who gave this answer.
Oh god.
Because it's an interesting answer for sure. But I don't think it's going to tell me who gave the answer. So anyway, Leah plays Maggie because we didn't want to make a Back to the Future 3 without having Leah Thompson in it. And we needed to have that scene like we did in the first two where Marty goes, "Mom, is that you?"
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So even though it didn't make any sense,
Mr. Eastwood.
even though it didn't make any sense, that's why we decided to have Leah Thompson play Maggie McFly. So
I mean, that's a pretty good.
that was probably done by George Zemeckis. I think he did all three movies.
Yeah, Zemeckis is the shit.
So yeah, so that would be why. So interesting for sure. So okay, well that concludes our Back to the Future episode, I think.
Yeah,
I think we're good to go.
I'd say so.
We're going to go ahead and give you not a sneak peek at all, but this is the first time ever that we're going to tell you what next week is.
Uh-oh.
So we're going to tell you that next week we are going to do a Tim Curry tribute. So we are going to discuss Tim Curry. We're probably going to stick specifically to Rocky Horror.
Yeah. Try our best not to confuse him with Alan Rickman.
Clue. And we cannot forget his brilliance as the original Pennywise in the It miniseries on television.
So, should I go home and watch that? Because I've only ever seen the chapter 1 of the reboot of it.
You should probably watch the miniseries. It's not nearly as good as the new movies, but he does play Pennywise. He plays the clown.
Fantastic.
It is fantastic. It is cheesy. But Tim Curry's career is vast for sure, but he hit my radar because of Clue. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. If you take out all sci-fi, it is the movie that I can watch all day, every day, and quote it while I'm watching it. So we're going to cover that next week. And I'm going to have a blast with it because it's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites, absolutely.
Oh, we can talk about the Clue Edition magic.
Yeah, we might. Yeah. Clue Edition magic might come up.
There better be a Tim Curry fucking concert.
I better be. There better be.
Yeah.
And we might get. It's probably going to turn into more of a Clue episode. So what we'll probably do is try to cover it and Rocky at the beginning, because once I start talking about Clue, I don't know that you're going to get me to stop, because I have theories about Clue and I have things about Clue. It's just one of those things. So to end this episode like we do everyone, I'm Nick.
I'm Brad.
I'm Levi.
And this has been Pints and Pages. So thank you guys for tuning in.